Dyslexia means that I learn differently and that I just need to, I think differently.
I think it means to me like I know like the medical definition is like someone who has problems with like reading and numbers and who gets things mixed up. But to me, I think it just means that I have to just try that, like try just a little bit harder and work just a little bit harder.
Dyslexia is basically a language-based disorder, and I hate to use the word disorder because it's not, to me, it's not a disorder or a disability. It's a different way that the person processes information.
Hello, I'm Kelsey, and I'm a junior here at NMSU in the pre-nursing program right now. Hopefully I'll be accepted into the nursing program by spring. I got a rough diagnosis around third grade is when they realized that I had some learning issues. And from then, like that's when they realized I had a processing problem. And then fourth grade is around when they realized I had ADD. And it was until seventh grade that I was roughly diagnosed with dyslexia.
Yeah, my name's Alexander. I was born in Santa Fe, New Mexico, 1990. Started off as a bright young lad, went to elementary school at a Protestant preschool. From there, I went to a Roman Catholic school where I proceeded to go to second grade. That's when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. But my mom's an ex-hippie. She was about 41 when she had me, so she already had her life, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so she knew that something was kind of up with me. She saw it by the way I interacted with people and the way that I just interacted in general was different. So she immediately started looking into it, thinking that I had like Asperger's syndrome or autism or something like that. But then when I became way more socially adept, I think is the right word. I'm not quite sure, but I was able to interact with people normally, and that's when they were like, "He's not autistic. He doesn't have Asperger's syndrome. He's dyslexic."
So we have several different forms of dyslexia. The reading dyslexia, which most people think that's all there is, but we also have the comprehension, the math, and the writing. A dyslexic needs a multisensory approach to their learning. They need to be able to see, hear, say, and write. Going back to that left hemisphere of the brain, you've got to get all those cortexes to go together. But anything that is multisensory, that when we teach them, they have to use all of their senses to learn.
Even though we have a disability, we still take in information the exact same way, and they look at more at like the remediation and how to self remediate instead of having like remedial classes where they go back and they say like this is the baby step here, this is the baby step there. They teach you how to like go through the book. They heavily focus on highlighting and margin noting, highlighting things, and then going through paragraphs saying this is what this paragraph's about, and then you go into the next paragraph, highlight, margin note, this is what this paragraph's about.
The toolbox is our little thing, okay, to provide him with the tools,
But I have to use them.
but he would have to use them. You know, if he was given an assignment at school, I would look at the assignment and say, how do they expect you to learn this? So I would look at what the schools expected him to learn, and I would find multisensory tools where he could get the concepts and I could go away. Rather than, I would read to him what had to be read. I would help him edit his papers, but I would find alternative methods of learning so that he was not dependent on me.
I actually do most of my studying at my boyfriend's on his bed, and so yeah, it's just like there's a lot of space. He's a big bed, so I'll sit at the head of the bed, like surrounded by pillows and blankets, because I get cold easily, and then I just spread everything out. Everything has to be clean before I start writing a paper, or else I'll get distracted and I'll play with things on my desk, and then I plug in Enya. Enya's my paper writing music. And then I just I chug it out all at one time. I'm not one of those people that like, oh, I'll write one paragraph today and one paragraph tomorrow. I sit down and I have to do the whole thing at once.
How do you overcome your dyslexia?
Well, I primarily do it through the student accessibility services here on campus. I have an IEP that covers extended time on tests, a note taker, as well as some other accommodations such as extended time on homework.
I have paperwork that I have to get them all to sign at the beginning of each semester, and I have like a little like these are my accommodations and normally I don't choose to use most of them just because I want to do it without them. I really want to like do it without my accommodations. The only one I'm really keen on using every time is I take longer to take tests, and most of my professors are just fine with that. They're like, okay. She's like they'll have me take it outside of class, or a lot of my tests are done at a time outside of class just because they take longer anyway.
They level the playing field, basically, of what are accommodations, what they do. So, example, if a student has reading processing issues, takes them 3 times longer than an average student to read a book. An accommodation would be audio text. They'll get their text in audio. Or they could take longer time to take their exams, between a time and a half, double time, in a quiet area. Or they could be a reader, or if they have a difficult time with paper and pencil types of tests, essay exams, they could use a computer without the internet, so they can't look up the answers, it's not hooked up, but they could use a Word to type their papers or type their short answers to test questions. Personally, I don't feel it's an unfair advantage. The student still has to do everything else that another student has to do. They have to complete the essential elements. They have to do the same projects. It just may take them longer to get these different tasks completed.
I do believe that they should be enforced because not a lot of teachers understand. Like some will, and that's really awesome of them. Like I've had some really understanding teachers. Like my patho professor this semester, he's also dyslexic. So when I went up and told him, because we have on our exams, we have 3 essay questions, and I told him, I was like, I'm really sorry that it's not going to be spelled correctly. And he was like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm dyslexic, I understand. And I was like, okay, cool. And that's all it's ever been. But I do believe in some cases that it does help to have that, I don't know, like legality behind you. That be like, no, you actually do have to like allow me to have extra time and stuff like that.
The college that I went to pretty much said you have to be prepared to go into these places and expect nothing from them. The most important thing to do is really communicate with your teacher. Say people are people. And as long as you have good communication, the accommodations are there for the teachers that are difficult. The teachers that don't want to give you extra time, that aren't understanding, that don't understand dyslexia. And that aren't willing to spend the extra time with you. If a teacher really is a good teacher, you usually don't need the accommodations, is what I find.
I've never gotten bullied because of my dyslexia. I've gotten ridiculed by teachers, surprisingly enough. The students I've never had a problem with, they're like, oh, Kelsey can't read good. That's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, Kelsey just doesn't spell well. Like, that's fine, and that's never been an issue. But with some of my teachers, they told me I was lazy, I wasn't trying. I had a teacher specifically in elementary school that told me I would never graduate high school, I would never go to college, like I was worthless, I was stupid, I wasn't trying, I was lazy.
I think he's a great person. He has a good soul. He's, as he was telling you, when he was little, we'd go to McDonald's. And we'd be sitting on the bench, and all the kids would be in the ball pen. And he'd be sitting with me on the bench, and he'd be watching. And maybe like the 3rd time we go, he'd finally jump in, and he would identify the strong person who would be his defender. You know, he would like observe people to decide who he wanted on his team. When he went to school, he did the same thing.
How do you sacrifice your social life?
Through like extra studying. Like my friends would be like, hey, do you want to go clubbing? And I'd be like, no, I do, but I have to study for my exam. And so just kind of like the basic like exam week stuff. Like, I wouldn't go out. I'd stay in, I'd study, I'd be like at a social gathering and I'd be studying, so I wasn't really interacting. But last semester when I was doing anatomy and microbiology, I brought my anatomy everywhere with me. Like, we had a joke in my friend group that my anatomy lab manual, which has all the pictures and what in it, was my child, because I was really protective over it and I'd bring it everywhere with me. So last semester my social life really it suffered, but that's okay.
I think that's my biggest problem is I don't sacrifice my social life. And I think that I'm like everybody else and that I could go out and futz around and I don't need the extra time on assignments. And it usually gets me into quite a pickle.
Do you have a hard time focusing on schoolwork and other things?
Yeah, I have extraordinarily hard time, and that's why I was also diagnosed with ADD. I'll get like halfway through a sentence, and then I'll find that my brain's thinking about something else, and I'll be like, "Whoa, what did I just read?" And I have to go back and do it again. So I have an extraordinarily hard time focusing on assignments, mainly because I have such a hard time reading. It takes a lot of energy to do it, and my body doesn't like to use energy. And usually I get halfway through a sentence and my brain goes, this is too difficult. Next thing, go do something you're good at instead of wasting time reading a book. So let's forget what the original question was.
Having a hard time focusing, that was the question.
Yeah, I think I answered that good.
Have you seen her mood change without the Ritalin?
Yes, it gets much better. Much better. She's happier, she's more fun. With the Ritalin, she gets angry and irritable and mad at me all the time.
Yeah.
So no Ritalin is better.
He takes the blunt of my stress, which isn't a good thing. He's around me the most. Like, yesterday was a prime example of this. Yesterday I was having a very bad day, and unfortunately I think he took the brunt of that unhappiness. But
yes.
yeah, he likes me off Ritalin a lot better, which is why I don't take it as much anymore. Because I like myself, off the Ritalin better too, because everyone's just all around happier.
I noticed that Kelsey likes to be independent.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not as independent as I like to seem. My thing is probably becoming not really less independent as in educational wise, but more able to open up to people, like not just about my dyslexia, but about everything, and being more vulnerable. So when I need help, actually asking for it rather than just trying to do it all by myself.
I'd probably be unhealthy if I didn't meet her, and I might even be kicked out of school by now if I hadn't met you. She kind of I was kind of in party mode when she met me, and she kind of brought me down from my high horse, tamed me, and yeah. And like I'd had like 2 really bad semesters in a row where I withdrew from the college even because I just wasn't doing good in school. And then when I met her, I had a really
It was that semester. The semester we met was when you withdrew.
Yeah.
And then the spring we moved in and
Did good.
together.
Yeah.
And you passed all your classes.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since we last saw you in April. What has changed?
Pretty much just did the summer, messed up in a couple classes this last fall. I got put on academic probation, and right now I'm just limited to 2 classes, so just doing those and focusing on getting my GPA up.
It's a shame though about your probation.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially since they didn't really work with me on it. I went this summer and I talked to them, and after I got the A in one of my classes, they said that was going to get me out of it, but it ended up that it didn't pull my GPA up enough, so I just gotta wade the storm. I could have done a lot to avoid the situation, and now I just kind of have to buckle down. So then hopefully 2 A's clears it up, but probably not. I probably should add a mini-mester, then even then I might not be in the clear. So It might just be 2 really relaxed semesters. Might just be a bunch of really relaxed semesters, but I know that I want a degree, and I would take off and go do something else, but I want to finish it up, so.
I am an alternate now in nursing school, which is really cool. Oh, that rhymed. I have my own place with my boyfriend Mitchell, which is also, it's really fun. It's different living in a real people apartment, like a real people house. We have Bills now, and we have a cat, Chloe. She's really cute. I'm a senior now, which is really weird to think of. I'm not going to graduate this year, but still, I've been in college for almost 4 years now. It's scary.
I think it makes it more difficult, but it doesn't hold you back. If you want to accomplish the things you want to accomplish, you're going to accomplish them no matter who you are or what obstacles you have in your way. And so it's just one more obstacle, and it does make things more difficult early on, but I think if you find what you're good at and you're willing to work with it, you can accomplish whatever you want.
I think last time you guys came here, I said, a teacher of mine said, you're not thinking outside the box, Xander, you are outside the box. And I guess it's just a way of going about things differently. Backwards maybe, but sometimes you gotta work backwards to get where you wanna go.
I like that it's taught me to be perseverant. It's taught me to look at things in a different way. I'm a very outside the box thinker. My mom says that I don't even know where the box is because I folded it into a paper airplane and then turned it into bubbles or something like that. But it's taught me to never give up. I think that's one of the main things. Is just I don't give up easily. When I want something, I know how to work for it, and I'm willing to put in the effort, and it usually works out.
Hi, my name is Chris Herbert, and I'm the director of Dyslexia the College Journey. I thought I'd give you an update on what has happened to Kelsey and Alexander. Kelsey got into nursing school at New Mexico State University. She'll be getting her master's there, and she thinks she'll be graduating in December 2015. As for her boyfriend Mitch, she broke up with him. I don't know why, it's none of my business. As you know, Alexander was on academic probation. Dyslexia had nothing to do with him being on academic probation. After I finished interviewing him, he dropped out of school. I don't know why. It's none of my business. I wish the best to Kelsey and Alexander on what they do next. Thank you for watching this film, and I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.